This tank is the Foch 155. This is a Tier 10 French tank destroyer, and the map is Kharkov. This is a 3-5-7 matchmaking game. I am the top tier. I looked at the enemy team and I saw a Grill is on the top tier. He's a potential threat. They tend to avoid inner city fighting. And we've got a few other threats like this Object 704. But I saw a lot of soft armor, so I thought I'd have an easy game. That's an example. That was 3 shots, 1980 damage, very quickly. In a matter of 10 or 15 seconds, you could easily do 2,000 damage. Now I'm going to go for the long reload, which is 30 to 40 seconds. I'm going to get 4 kills. I'm going to do 5,600 damage. What you're going to learn is that a lot of people who get high damage games, a lot of it has to do with the tank that you use and the gun that you use and the tier that you're playing. And the Foch 155 is absolutely a tank that can do a lot of damage, which is why I'm going to be able to get 5,600 damage in this game. It's going to be a very interesting game. Now, because I know I have strong armor, and I thought that the Grill would be out in the field, even though he's in the city, he's going to die pretty quick. I knew that I would have weak opposition. So I decided to run through and kill as much as I can as quickly as I can. Get a little bit... Oh, the gun was in front of me. I was wondering what that was blocking my view. I didn't realize it was the gun of the enemy tank. But that's okay because he's out of the game. Now the next thing that I did, I had 1 shell, and normally I would reload, but I said, oh, that's an easy tank. I'm going to go after him. But he was taken out by another tank. So I'm going to save my shell for an easy target, and there he is. And he's out of the game. You notice I'm going to hide behind this dead tank to give me some protection from the Scorpion. The Scorpion has a high penetration gun, so he could easily damage me if he aims properly. The score is 8-9. You'll notice that we have a TD that's capping, which is a very good maneuver. Someone's complaining about what he's doing, but it's a smart thing to do. In fact, I believe we're going to win this game by capping, but it's going to be later in the game. I got 3,900 damage. The score is 9-11. We're losing now, and we're going to have to find a way to pull through. Got 3 shells in the magazine. Notice how quickly I deplete. I deplete their hit points very quickly. You know, I can do a lot of damage with this gun. I'm up to 5,300 damage already. And I'm just going to pursue this E50, line up the shot, take him out of the game. The score is 11-12. The score is 12-12. Now the WZ and I are the last 2 after the Object 704 gets taken out. And I realize that we're up against a T-55A AMX 13105. We got the guns, they got the mobility. I was a little bit worried. So what I did was I made sure that the WZ followed me around, especially because I have a long reload. It's going to be a while before I'm reloaded. So I notify the WZ that I would like him to stay close. I allow him to go in front of me because he reloads faster, and obviously because I'm not reloaded. But I don't want to be on his butt. I want to be enough in front, and I want to be enough behind him that he can bait the enemy. I want the enemy to spot him and pounce on him, and then I want to surprise the enemy with 3 rounds up the butt. It's not what's going to happen, but that was my plan. I'm keeping a certain distance behind the WZ, close enough to support him, but not so close that the enemy won't think he's vulnerable. I want the enemy to go after him. I did not like the fact that he went field. It was the wrong move. He should have stayed in the city because when he goes out in the field, it makes our side and rear vulnerable. When you stay in the city, your sides are protected, and your rear is somewhat protected because they have to get relatively close to you, but from here we could be shot from far away. You notice that I took a turn here, and the reason why was because I did not like being out in the field. I didn't want to go out in the field, but I allowed him to lead, and I had to make that choice. It's more important to stay together and to watch his back than to worry about whether or not we're in the field, especially because we got only 2 enemy tanks in the game, and they could be anywhere on the map. Try to anticipate where the enemy is going to show up, and I thought, well, this is likely where I think he's going to go. I think this is the best path. If the enemy were going to spot me, he's going to come down this little corridor over here. I'm going to line up my gun, and I'm going to get a lucky shot and take him out of the game. Now that AMX 105, he just might not be seen ever again. I don't know if he toppled his tank, maybe he spilled over on the side, but he's got 20 seconds to do something to reset the cap, and he's going to fail to do so. So the WZ and I, at this point, I'm always worried, don't get off the cap. I want my ally to stay on the cap. You want to win the game by capping. We got 4 seconds left, and that's the game. 5,600 damage, 4 kills, victory by capping.
This tank is the Foch 155. This is a French Tier 10 tank destroyer. The map is Siegfried Line. This is an awesome tank. I'm so happy that I have this tank. I waited many years to be able to get it, and finally I do have it. When I play this style of tank, this style of turretless tank destroyer, what I usually do is go to the center of the map, and I go to this position because from here you can shoot all the way through the town, and you have easy access to certain things that are going on in the middle of the town. So there's often going to be enemy tanks in the distance over here that I can shoot at, and there's going to be fighting going on. You see we got some tanks right here. So I was able to get 1,600 damage. Basically, I take my shots and then I'm going to reverse while I'm reloading. It's an ideal position for 2 tanks side by side. Being on the left side usually means you're going to have more targets to shoot at. This is good for tanks that have a long reload, for tanks that have powerful guns that can do damage, a lot of damage in a short amount of time. You can see that E100 is my next target. He shouldn't be there. He's exposing his lower plate. I'm going to be able to damage him very easily. And I try to time it so I crest the hill when I'm ready to fire my gun. It's too bad that car was in the way. It did prevent me from taking some of my shots. I got up to 3,000 damage. Now I'm just focused on reversing. Obviously, I'll repair before the E100 gets a second shot in, so it might not be necessary to do the repair. Now that I'm almost reloaded, it's obviously I'm being a little bit impatient. I'm preparing to go back into position. It's very important to watch the mini-map while you're playing in this position to know if an enemy tank is about to cross in front of your path. Well, it's too bad that I missed those 2 shots. One thing about these tanks is you definitely want to get the gun laying drive on these tanks and any sort of crew skill that makes your tank aim faster. My team has controlled the center of the map, which is the western part of the town, which is why I'm not reversing outside the town while I'm reloading. One thing you'll notice about autoloaders is that you have to take longer to aim in your first shot, and usually your secondary and your third shot will aim in a lot faster. They don't have to aim in as far. So sometimes what I do is I fire my first shot without being completely aimed, and the reason why is because the reload time is often fast enough that it's equivalent to the aiming time. Obviously, when you have 3 shells in your autoloader, you're not going to waste a shell like that. But in a normal tank, it's okay to take a shot if you're not fully aimed. Score is 12-2. I got 4,900 damage, 444 spotting damage, and 3 kills. This tank is the Foch 155. This is a French Tier 10 tank destroyer, and the map is Redshire. I'm going to show you a sniping position that you can use on this map. On the east side, there's a battle area for heavy tanks, which is the E0 and F0 areas, and there's 2 sniping positions, one for the south and one for the north. Actually, for the south, there's actually more sniping positions that have bushes to hide in. And in the north, there's a lot of bushes, but the usefulness of the positions is not that great, but you can definitely fit a lot of tanks there. I wanted to help this guy up, but he turned at a weird angle, so I was a little bit unsure about pushing him up, and I think he was able to make it up there anyway. Or maybe he left. Yeah, he's able to make it up there. So one thing you want to do when you pull into a sniping position with trees is you want to knock as many trees down as you can. No matter what direction they're in, they will help you and they will help hide you. We don't know what's going to happen. If the enemy has a strong showing, then I'm going to be in great danger later in the game. The other thing I'm doing is I'm using high explosive rounds. And the reason why is because I know I'm going to see the turrets of their tanks and I'm going to meet up against side scrapers. So I'm going to need to use those high explosive rounds. Oh, nice. Got 523 damage. I'm already up to 1,000 damage. If you want to do a mission that requires doing a lot of damage early in the game, this is the tank to do it with. I'm going to speed up the game. So that shot was unfortunately a miss. I'm going to have a bit of a reload here. While I'm reloading, I'm going to knock some of the trees down. You can see that the enemy has won on the east side. So now I'm in danger. There's a lot of hit points out there. There's like 6,000 hit points I got to deal with. And I can really only do 2,000 hit points with one clip. Missed a shot on that tank, unfortunately. Obviously, as soon as I fire, he's going to know I'm there. The smart thing to do is just to let them all pass. The score is 3-7. Come on. Oh, he's going down into the river, so I won't be able to hit him. That means there's one more tank that's potentially in front of me. Okay, so now we know where all the enemy tanks are right now. Luckily, I hit that tank, but now he's out of my range. I should just advance forward, go forward, get that guy back in range. Now, the smart thing to do now would be to head north. He knows where I'm located, and the score is 4-10. Go north to another sniping position. All those tanks are not going to come after me. So there's a good chance I could kill off one more tank. I'm now using the heat rounds. The heat rounds will surely do damage. Score is 5-11. I've gotten 2,000 damage. It's so slow to reload. But I've got him perfectly in my sight. Oh, he's almost out of the game. Oh! He is so lucky. Scores 6-12. I got 2,700 damage. I'm not going to reload in time to snipe on him. He's going to be right up against me by the time I get reloaded. And he knows exactly where I am. So I got to be ready to fire. And now the score is 7-14. Okay, so this is beyond the scope of sniping positions. Let's move on to the next video. This tank is the Foch 155. This is a French Tier 10 tank destroyer, and the map is Sand River. This tank is also an autoloader. It's one of the best tanks in the game. When I played over the years, I've been playing for 5 years, I was always envious of other people who had this tank, and now I finally was able to get one. If you ever have a chance to get one, I highly recommend it. The first thing that I like to do on this map is I head over here to this lower area to see if I can spot some enemy tanks. I'm not reloaded yet, so I won't be able to shoot at them. However, I like to do the spots because I like to get a first shot in when I can. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to head for the town area. It used to be better. There used to be more trees to hide in, but unfortunately the trees were removed and it's a little bit harder to hide. But there's good snipe positions. Oh, he missed. So I was able to get 1,300 damage on that tank and 565 spotting damage on an IS-4, which was to his right. So then what I do is I just reverse over here because there's already in the game, you want to stay close to solid objects, and I'm going to reload, and then I'm going to pull back into that position. Now, this is very interesting because those tanks are going to be really preoccupied with what's going on in the game. For example, the Sheridan is now going after them. You really want to make sure you time it right. Don't go in until you're fully loaded. I can easily take that IS-4 out of the game. He's going to be loaded around the time that I come around the corner, so I want to make sure I time it properly. Looks like he missed a shot on me. He was probably aiming for my the rangefinder on the top of the vehicle, but because I was moving in reverse, he missed. I only fired one of my shots, and because it's a long reload, I'm going to save my shots for the next tank. Okay, so we're getting out of the scope of the sniping position. I'm probably not going to get any more crazy lucky shots from here, but we'll stick around and we'll see what happens. It is a great position, and I do play here often. And I definitely recommend it. Even if you have a heavy tank, you can play this position in light tanks, medium tanks, tank destroyers. You know, I don't recommend it for the SPGs, but for almost any tank you can play in that position. Okay, so let's move on to the next video. Hello, this is Dave from cheapbooks.com playing World of Tanks. This tank is the Foch B. This is a French Tier 10 tank destroyer. The map is Erlenberg. This is World of Tanks 1.2. This is a standard battle. I am going to get, I believe, around 5,000 damage in this game. This is also a 6-shot autoloader. The Foch is an amazing tank. It will give you high damage games. If you are looking to do a lot of damage, this is one of the tanks that will do it. I don't usually go to this position, but I often go to this position. You get pretty clear shots. You want to have a clear gap between the buildings, and you want to gauge if you think the enemy team is going to be aggressive or not. If they're not aggressive, you're going to have good shots from this position. See, our first customer showed up. With an autoloader, you don't want to waste a shot, and I obviously had a poorly shot. My third shot wasn't well thought out. So I started with 1,900 damage. That's basically 70 seconds into the game. I missed a shot on that tank. I have to reload. It is a long reload. I believe it's 40-second reload. But as you can see, I got 3 hits on the Batchat 25T and 2 hits on the TVP T50. They are Tier 10 tanks. The TVP is an excellent tank. You definitely want to do a lot of damage to that tank. And of course, the Batchat is also a good tank. Tracking them really helps when you got an autoloader, and I tracked him twice. Makes him a sitting duck. You do want to hit, when you're going at long range, you want to hit under the turret, and the reason why is because the entire side has approximately the same armor thickness. If you hit in the rear, there's a chance of setting the engine on fire, but there's also a chance that you'll miss the tank and hit over the engine deck. So I aim for just under the center of the turret, so that if the shot goes a little high, it still has an increased chance of hitting the tank. There is a circle, your aiming circle. The shot is going to land somewhere within that circle, so you want as much of the tank within that circle as possible. Unfortunately, I missed that shot. He was out of the game easily. I'm up to 2,600 damage. I did get 2 additional hits on a Leopard. I'm averaging around 400 or 390 per shot, 390 damage. Normally I don't go this way, but I did see the Batchat 25T, and I wanted to line up a shot between the buildings. Nice, perfect. So that was 2 shots on the IS-4. I've got 3 left. It does take a long time to reload. So when you have 1 shot left, you might want to hold on to it. You might not want to fire. You have to gauge when to reload. And usually if you're traveling from one place to another, that's a good time to reload, especially if you have a slow tank. So because I was spotted, I'm going to hug the side of a building. There's no artillery in the game, but I didn't know where the enemy was. It ends up he was right in front of me. I think I'm going to flub the shots against him for various reasons. I do have a high ping time. It's 245 milliseconds, and I use the auto aim a lot when I have a high ping time. Because if you don't, the gun will go all over the place, and it's better for the gun to track the enemy tank when you have a high ping time. I believe that this enemy tank is going to make a mistake and he's going to give me an open shot on his lower plate. We'll see what happens. So I did the auto aim on the first shot. Next one didn't penetrate. Look at that, he reversed. He made a big mistake. He should have gotten closer to me. He should have gotten as close to me as possible. You want to get close when you defend and reverse when you want to take a shot. When he reversed, he allowed me to hit his weaker armor. 3,700 damage. I did 475 and then 13 against the T-110E5. And I still have most of my hit points. I have more than half of my hit points left. 1,080 out of 1,850. Now, I did say I'm going to get around 5,000 damage in this game. In fact, I wonder if there's going to be a game where I get a lot of kills. I don't remember. Again, go for under the turret. Aim for under the turret. That shot missed. I don't aim in all the way. I fire the shot when I think that the circle has encircled the majority of the tank. So sometimes I will miss like I did on that one. And also I fired a shot after the tank had died, which was a wasted shot, of course. He's got strong frontal armor, but if you got a perfect shot, I did 387 damage on the first shot. I'm up to 4,950 damage. Now that Grill, who's way out in the corner, he's going to be, I think it's going to be, everyone's going to fire at him at the same time. So while I'm aiming, I miss my chance to get a kill shot in. But what I'm doing right now is I'm waiting for the TVP to go spot that last tank, even though I know there's a good chance I'm not going to be able to hit him because he's going to be behind the slope of the hill. But I figured that there's no way I would be able to approach him in time. And you can see I just barely got a kill shot in. That was a miss, obviously. It was the TVP who finished him off. I got 2 kills, 4,950 damage, and the score was 15-4. This tank is the Foch B. This is a French Tier 10 tank destroyer, and the map is Ensk. I'm going to show you a sniping position, and I'm going to show you some flanking. This is a Tier 10 game, which is going to affect my gameplay. I like to use this sniping position. It works out really well. There's going to be some cases where it's not a strong position. It's going to be very good position if the enemy is further away from you. As the enemy approaches and gets closer to you, you get spotted, and you don't want to be spotted in this position. You want to go into this back corner. Look at where I am on the mini-map. And you'll notice there's a gap right there in front of me. You've got the gap that goes into the road, and then across the street into the another neighborhood. So now there's a badger in front of me, and you see where that badger is on the mini map. I don't know how to get the map. There's a way to make a big map on the screen. I don't know how to do it. So that badger is going to be one of the targets that you're going to be going after from this position. Look on the minimap and see where the badger is. He's obviously right there in front of me. And the other one is going to be the IS-7. The last target is going to be anyone that goes between the buildings directly in front of you. So there's going to be 3 locations that you're going to be firing at. So I did 434 damage. I was only able to get 1 penetrating shot. One of the issues about this is that a lot of the enemy tanks are going to be side scraping, which means you might have to use high explosive rounds or heat rounds. And because of the bushes and the foliage between me and the badger, if I'm not spotted, I'll be able to shoot at him and they'll never see me, and they don't know where to fire to shoot back at you. That's why it's a really great position. You can see that there's a mouse that's moved up to become a potential target. There's an allied mouse that's going to block my shots. And I go to this position almost every time that I play on Ensk, that sniping position. Now we're going to see some flanking. Now, when I come around the corner, I use the auto aim to select the enemy tank, and I let the computer turn my tank automatically. What happens is when you use the auto aim with this type of a tank destroyer, the game is going to turn the tank exactly into the perfect position to line up with the auto aim. I let the computer do it because it's going to be a lot more faster and more accurate than if I try to do it manually. And I might do it for the IS-7 also. You'll notice that every time I take a shot, I come out of the sniper mode because I want to see what's going on. Being in the sniper mode, you're very vulnerable. You could easily be assaulted by a tank coming on your flank or your rear, which is why you have to have that view of the battlefield. Because I have an autoloader, obviously I'm going to go into a reloading position. Now that we've won, I'm advancing to a secondary reloading position. I would have stopped here.